Here we go, y'all. We are in 2024. We are at the precipice of a shifting world. We're shifting internally. All the old structures of oppression and control are going to be swept away. And we are getting to live through this time. It is equally exciting and equally as terrifying for a lot of us. Now, I can tell you this. I've been going through the spiritual awakening process for many years now. And my nervous system, when I started, is now a lot different at this point, because doing the inner work, you earn peacefulness in your nervous system. It doesn't matter anymore what the outside is saying. You got inner peace, man. And it's a beautiful reward of doing the work. Now, something I want to share today that I think is extremely important, I want to talk about emotional bondage. Because many people, most people, including myself for a very long time, many of us don't realize this, but we're operating in our day-to-day behaviors based on who we've been in the past. One of the hardest things to break, conditioning-wise, is not dragging your past identity, your past choices, things that you've done before, into your now and shrinking all that is here in the present moment. All states of being, all possibilities exist for you to choose and direct your life force however you want it to go. But yet, for many of us, the past comes in and dictates who we're going to be. We even show up to relationships as who we've always been, so that we don't put ourselves in a place where we might not be accepted, or we might be abandoned, or people don't like us anymore. This is what we're evolving beyond. We are recognizing that we are right here creators, and it's an infinite Om. It's just Om, and the river of consciousness is flowing, and that's what we are. But yet we take so much weight from things that have happened to us, and we put it right here, and we shrink that all possibility into memory, right? And that's only because it's lodged in our body. It's in our nervous system, and the feelings that we get produce thoughts, and then we act on those thoughts. We're emotional beings. We make decisions from our emotions. But one of the things that we're really being invited to during this Aquarian age, as the truth is coming in, as we're waking up, as we're evolving, we have to get very clear and prioritize not letting our emotions make our day-to-day decisions, not getting pulled down into the waters, the chaos of the emotions, and having that choose our life for us, because that is where our ego controls us, right? The ego wants us, the separate self wants us to, it doesn't understand infinite creation. It doesn't understand the divine. That can only be perceived by the heart. So the limited separate self ego is just trying to protect itself with everything that it can, right? And so true mastery comes when you can start to think beyond the way that you're feeling, right? You are going to feel resistance when you start a new business, when you start a YouTube channel, when you start sharing and expressing who you are, when you start doing things differently than you've been doing them, you're going to not feel like it, because it's new and it's unfamiliar. And we've been chemically addicted to an emotional state in our biology. And for many of us, that's chronic stress, that's chronic fear and worry and anxiety and comfort and convenience. And here's the thing, when you have a lot of internal conflict inside of yourself, that is always going to leave you prone to jumping right over to escapist or avoidant type behaviors, addictions, right? Where you're consuming, you're scrolling, you're binge eating, you're consuming. Isn't that interesting how our vices really mostly have to do with some sort of consumption, right? Which is the opposite of creation, which is our true nature. We are meant to be creating. We're meant to be creating and designing our lives and making grand, noble plans with the way that we want to direct our life force energy. And yet, we're still in large part slaves to the emotions of the past. We're letting those dictate our lives and where our future is going. In the Bible, Jesus talked about walking on waters. Now, some people will say that's literal, some people see it as metaphor. To me, that beautiful story is all about the element of water, which again represents the emotions, and his mastery of being able to walk above the waters, to not get sunk down into the emotional roller coaster that can happen in this human experience. This is what we're all called to do, because the freedom that we seek involves this. If you try to skip this part, you can't do it, because you're just on the cycle of pleasure and pain and just ping-ponging around based on your emotional state. Now, when you start loving yourself, when you start prioritizing having a beautiful relationship with you, because you realize that everything in your life comes from that. That is the foundation for everything, because when you love yourself, you will no longer tolerate abandoning yourself. You will no longer tolerate not keeping your word and having a lack of self-integrity, which leads to internal conflict, which then leads to a sense of mistrust, which leads to incoherence. And when your mind and your heart and your body are not in a coherent place, you have chaos, right? So it's more simple than we think. Really, the goal is coherence. We want the system to be working together. And when you start prioritizing your relationship with you and recognize that the only reason you maybe hate yourself or think badly about yourself or doubt yourself is because you learned to do that when you were 5 years old, when you were a teenager and your emotional patterns were forming and you were trying to figure out ways to deal with the turbulence of those emotions that were so intense. And now as adults, it is our job to see the wounded teenager, to see the wounded child, and recognize that they had no reference point. They didn't know how to deal with any of that. So when they get activated inside of us, it's on us now to reparent that, to give them the truth, to let them know that they are seen and that they're just not in the dark. And we're not abandoning them, right? We're not getting pulled down into the level of nervous system that we had when we were 12 years old and then acting that out. No, we're seeing that occur in our bodies, and we're holding space for that with compassion and with acceptance and with allowing. And that is the only way to process the emotion and to actually heal and transform. If you have a better way to do that, I have not discovered that yet. This is something that all of the ancients have talked about. This is emotional alchemy. This is true mastery. This is having agency over your animal body, your biological drives. This comes into play too with our sex energy, which is one of the most powerful energies we have that creates life. And we squander it. You know, if you're a guy like I was, maybe you're masturbating all the time and watching pornography and just not understanding how vital that life force is and how you can direct it where you would like it to go, right? So the whole thing is, with what I'm saying here, is we want to own our now space. We want to hold this in the highest regard. This is our garden that we're creating our life with. And anytime the past tries to come in and tell you who you are, or anytime the outer world tries to tell you who you are, you got to shut that down. You got to see that for what it is and come back to the truth. Requalify the thought. Notice within yourself something outside of you that's trying to dictate how you should be or who you should be. The best relationships are the ones who love and accept you for who you are, right? You don't need to show up as the person that they know you as. You can show up authentically as you. And what a gift that is. And the people who don't accept that, they will flow away. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a beautiful thing that's happening, right? Because you're coming home to you and you're going to start to surround yourself with other people. You're going to draw them in who are doing the same thing, who love the authentic you. Because the authentic you is amazing. It's beautiful. What a contribution to the planet to offer that authenticity, because what's in you was put in there by the Creator. You have something that nobody else has, and that deserves to be honored amongst each other. We can see that for one another, right? Because you might go into an interaction that might seem, really mundane or surface level, and that is a tragedy, because really, if we break it down, right, and this is bringing in the eros, this is bringing in radical aliveness, this is bringing in the way that we're meant to live, and it's in the recognition of my authentic self that's here in this moment, that's never existed before. We're sharing this together. You're bringing that version of you in too. The energies are amplified. Who knows what can be created when we come to the table from this place? And we're not going right to the conditioned, how about the weather, blah, 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 sports, bullshit. Like, let's get rid of that. And I know we all want that. Truly, we do. I did 6,000 Uber rides in LA, and I can tell you that people want this. Some people, maybe they don't, but most of us want genuine, real connection. Why? Because it's an experience in itself. When I'm authentically me and I show up as that, you don't know what you're getting. I don't know what I'm getting, because it's going to flow through. Life is going to flow through and express through me, and that's exciting. That's where life gets magical. That's where seemingly ordinary things and interactions turn into gold. They turn into unexpected synchronicities. A simple conversation with a cashier or a clerk can turn into something beautiful, where both people feel good, both people learn something. So this is of the utmost importance during this time, to check your emotions and to prioritize yourself. Caring for yourself, being your biggest supporter. I'm going to talk about this all the time on this channel. Building your self-esteem, to me, there's nothing more important than that. That is the work, you guys. And I used to hate myself. I used to be insecure. I used to walk around up in my head, and I couldn't get out of it. I was experiencing the same emotions day after day, and life just became so gray, black and white, that is darkness, okay? And the invitation with this video is to, I want to hit this point home. If you have been abandoning yourself, if you have mistrust in yourself, you have to recognize that when you go to create something and you go to do something that's unfamiliar, you've had so many false starts before where the overwhelm won, where the emotions of the past, the ego said, you're not going to do that. You don't keep your word. This is who you are. You have to go beyond that. You have to feel the lousiness of that, because when we're not in coherence, that feels like shit. That's our body letting us know we're out of alignment in the now. We have to choose beyond that. And then over time, our body will come on board. And this is the process of showing ourselves who's the boss, who's in control of this experience, in the sense of it's no longer the body and the animal self and the lower drives and the ego. Like, we are surrendering that, putting that on the altar, and opening up to life and recognizing that every moment is creation. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It doesn't matter what you did last week, the mistakes that you made. Maybe you hurt some people. You forgive yourself. You make amends with them, and you move on, because you only did it from a place of being in separation, which was an illusion. You would never do it when you're in a coherent place, because you're connected and you realize the truth. So don't be hard on yourself, okay? Let this be a time where you love yourself radically, because everything stems from that foundation, all right? Self-esteem, so important right now. And I just want to say that I'm honored to be on the planet with you at this time. I'm honored to share in this wildly exciting story, this just chaos, this great transition where we're entering in a completely new phase of humanity and what the human story is. And anyone who's watching this video is somebody who is here to anchor in this energy and be a way shower. You're a pioneer. My podcast called Follow Your Path Podcast is all about being a pioneer. We are the pioneers of this new earth. And that is exciting. That is such a beautiful purpose, right? To do this inner work and know that it's a contribution to the whole. It feeds into the collective. So your work, your joy, your happiness, your expression, your channel that life flows uniquely through you as is so important. And I just want to really hit that home, because you are so much greater than you realize, and you mean so much more to life than you realize. Do not let the past drag you down anymore. You are so much bigger than that, and you are so much grander with so much to offer than just lugging the weight of all of that with you, which I did for so long. And I don't have that anymore. It might come in little moments, but then I can see it. The greater awareness is there, and I forgive myself and I let it go. And so my prayer is that you're able to do the same. And again, I'm so psyched to be on this journey. What a wild time. 2024. What is this year going to be for you? Is this the year that you leave behind that weight and that you step into the most magnificent being that you can be? And I'm not saying that as like a motivational speaker. We're talking the truth. When you get out of the way and you let life flow through you and you let your channel open and you express yourself, that is a light that is unrivaled. And that is going to change our planet. And I have so much honor and respect for those who are doing that. It's not easy. It's not. But that's why we're here. We're changing the world. And it happens in us individually first. So, lots of love to everyone watching this. Thank you for tuning in, and get ready for a lot more content of this nature. We're on this journey together. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to explore yourself in ways that maybe you never have before, that's why I'm here. I've been doing coaching work with people for the last 6 years, and now everything's amplified. It's go time. We're ready to do this. So if you're feeling the call, there's a link below in the description. You can sign up. We can work together, and it's one of my favorite things to do. We are meant to share our gifts. We are meant to be doing what we love and fulfilling the role that we are here to play. So I look forward to seeing you guys again soon, and lots of love.